Hello YouTube, how everyone doing tonight? I hope you're doing good. I was out talk about these parents' child that was taken by DCS, I guess, out there in Puerto Rico. And if you know the case or whatever, getting as many people you can to respond to this, to talk about this, to harass the Congress down there or whoever down there. Just harass them, make them report on it, make them do something, do their job, and return these people kid back to them. It don't make any sense. And from what the father was saying, it's sad, it's fucked up, and shit like this need to start happening. It happens all over the world, even in America. It happens everywhere where they doing this shit right here. And it's some that there are bad parents, but it seems like they are messing with the good parents. And I have a problem with that right there. Also, I'm making check and make sure that what's going on now, but I wanted to put this out there first. And I'm going to try to find some more information to make sure that, and see that they get their kids back yet. I'm going to do some more research. Thank you.
With about 17 to 20 SWAT, they held us hostage in our home from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Yes. So I originally went to Puerto Rico because I'm a chef. So I had some people in Miami that I was cooking for. And so in the course of me cooking for them, they called me up and was like, hey, you want to come to Puerto Rico? I said, all right, yeah, it sounds like a good vacation. So I went there and I planned to cook for them for about, 6 months to a year.
They stormed our home with about 17 to 20 SWAT. They held us hostage in our home from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Yes. So I originally went to Puerto Rico because I'm a chef. So I had some people in Miami that I was cooking for. And so in the course of me cooking for them, they called me up and was like, hey, you want to come to Puerto Rico? I said, all right, yeah, it sounds like a good vacation. So I went there and I planned to cook for them for about, 6 months to a year. And then, they have other businesses, so I ended up cooking for them for about 6 months. And then they went on, during the time of the 6 months I was there, we spent there, me and my wife. It was pleasant, so decided to stay, and from we just decided let's make a life here, see what Puerto Rico has to offer. During that time, me and my wife, we got pregnant, and this was our first son. We originally, actually, me and my wife, because the ultimate plan was for us to just make a little money and then try to come to Jamaica or Nigeria. My wife is Nigerian descent. So, and we had lived in Jamaica briefly before. We had a little place we had tried to live in Trelawney, but I was still back and forth. I wasn't fully at a place where I wanted to move yet, so kind of stayed in Miami. But from my wife and me said, all right, let's make this out to try to still, even though we're pregnant here, let's try to still make it to Jamaica. So she reached out to this woman in Montego Bay, actually, Sekhmet Birthing Center. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but we were supposed to have come there and meet the midwife. A couple of days before the flight, or a day before the flight, she started going to labor. So, but it was a good thing we already had a midwife connection there on the island. So, and she was an African woman. And so we dealt with this woman, beautiful woman. We went to her house. She did a very, pleasant space for a woman during that time. And, the laboring process went smooth. My wife was very healthy. I take a lot of, concern into her nutrition the whole time, because as a chef, I consider everyone's nutritional needs, but as a pregnant woman, hers especially. So the nutrition, I have to say, was very good throughout the whole pregnancy. I made sure that, and she did as well. And after the laboring process, we went to have our son at the hospital in Maya West, Puerto Rico. And you have to bear with me because I'm not trying to jumble up the things. So we had the baby at Bella Vista Hospital in Maya West, Puerto Rico. And everything was fine. He didn't have any birthing problems. He was healthy. All his auditory and physical testing was up to par. Actually, they said it was very high. And so we just, after that, we went on to go back to San Juan. And during our time with our son, which was very brief, only 3 months, we came back to San Juan around this time of year, Christmas. And, you know, it was a nice place, brand new place, going towards Old San Juan. And everything was fine till one day, I come home from work, and my wife she was ecstatic, but in a different way. So she come home. When I come home, she's already like yelling at me from downstairs, saying, "Hey, you know, it's some people down here that came for Messiah." And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" And she said, "The people in the white van down there." And at the time, my son just turned 3 months, so I'm like, well, okay. So I go upstairs, and she hands me this paper, and she said they want an intervention with our family because somebody's put out false allegations of child neglect. So it's just like a bomb. And I'm like, all right, so let me try to reground myself, deal with this. So I said, all right, let me see the paper. I read through the papers in Spanish, but I do my best, and then I take it downstairs, and I go to the people, and I ask them, I said, "Hello, how you doing? My wife said that you all wanted to speak with her, but I'm curious to know, what is this all about? Because I don't really read Spanish. I can't really make this all out." And they said, "Oh, well, you know, we've got contacted by some people who's very concerned about your child's well-being." So the original social worker that put out these allegations, her name is Yahira LeBron. And Yahira, the reason I have to call her name personally is because she tried to personally befriend my wife. She knew us for a brief period, but she was under disguise, literally. So the thing with Yahira is, she was gonna help my wife with expediting the process to get into this new apartment building that we wanted to live in, because it was a brand new apartment. And she said, "Oh, I can help you. I got people I know. I can help you get in there faster." All right, fine. And she worked for this other government agency down there called Solar Portland Oil. Well, when we come to find out later on during the case, Yahira didn't ever work for Solar Portland Oil in the first place. She was disguised working for them, but she really worked for an organization called AMSCOT. My wife came to me with this information one day. She said, "Because I noticed now, from her energy never registered with me, so I told my wife, I don't think we should deal with her, you know." And you know, Papa senses his own because she's still pregnant. So all the while, she said, "I'm gonna deal with her." So you know, but come to find out, AMSCOT is a mental health organization, and they help people off the street, right? They have mental health disabilities and drug addictions. Before this happened, there was this place down there in Puerto Rico called the Neonatal Clinic. The Neonatal Clinic. They requested from us a few times. They wanted to run some more blood work on Messiah. But he was completely healthy. His blood, we had all his blood tests from when he was born at the hospital, Bella Vista. And my wife said, you know, she come to me like, "Do you think we should do this?" And I said, "What's how you feel? You know, what's your spirit tell you? You know?" I'm like, "Cause he's healthy, you know. What you want to know? I mean, all of the information's there. What other things they want to run?" She said, "Yeah, I just don't feel right about it. And you know, he's so young." And all the while, these COVID thing was preparing itself to shut the country and the world down, you know. So every time she would get ready to go check in with him at the hospital, she would see all these people at the door with all these hazmat suits. She'd just be like, I'm good. I'm not taking my baby in there, you know. And so I said, no, babe, just go with how you feel. And she said, all right, Bryce. She said, babe, these people keep harassing me by the email. And they said they highly urge us to do it. To the point where the same woman, Yahira LeBron, start emailing her again, saying, oh, you should really take them to get the blood test done. And you should really take... okay, but how do you know about the blood test? March 11th, 2020. Seemingly regular morning. I was about to, after we went to the beach that morning. Yeah, I'm recalling it. Went to the beach that morning. It was pleasant. And come back home, kind of wind it down. And I remember it must have been about 3, 4 o'clock in the evening. I was thinking, let me go to the supermarket and just, make some groceries and come back. And something stopped me in my spirit, said, don't go nowhere. Sit still for a minute. Don't go anywhere. So I just listened. And I looked up and I seen 2 squad cars outside. And so when I looked up and I seen 2 squad cars, I just immediately went in the living room, and I just happened, it was just instant, when you listen. So your intuition just led me the right direction that day because I happened to catch the original break-in on footage. So I caught the iPad and I pressed play. And I literally, because it just happened so fast, and I put it down and I seen the lock on my door flip open. You have a warrant? You have a warrant to enter my home? Do you have a warrant to enter my home? I need you to understand. No, do you have a warrant to enter my home? I need you to understand the situation. No, do you have a court order warrant to enter my home? You do not. You are unlawfully. But at the time, you see, we were living at a place that had these electronic fob keys, so it was very specific. There's no way they could have got in my door. Wasn't no regular keys, electronic key. And each one in the building was specific to the building, let alone your actual door to your home. So I'm like, what? I see it flip open and come up. And so I just, fling fire on the door and I just hold him up and I'm asking him, wait a minute, hold on. What's your business here? Who is this? No, sir. No, sir. You breaking the entry. You are breaking the entry. You are breaking the entry. No, you are breaking the entry, and I do not consent to any contract that you all are coming here for. You are now breaking the entry. This is illegal. You are now breaking the entry. No, you are now breaking the entry legally. You are now breaking the entry legally. No, this is my home. I have the right to protect my family, and you will not enter my home illegally. Do not. You will not. I do not consent to any unlawful contract, but you will not invade my home. You will not invade my home. No. And they say, you're under arrest. You're under arrest. And the whole time for what? What do you mean? Oh, no, sir. No, sir. This is not how it's going to go about. You illegally just broke an entry. Show me the court order. Please. You have to show me a court order. What is your business here breaking into my home? My wife is breastfeeding my child on the couch. So, at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to calm myself, but I see took an unprecedented route already. All the while, I'm confident in myself to know that I haven't did anything. I know I might didn't do anything. So I say, all right, well, let me calm down for a minute. But I never left the door the whole time. I put the couch in front of the door, I'm locked the door, I'm staying on the door, And sooner or later, like a hostage person started coming in to talk to us, hostage first, like, are y'all okay? Do you need anything? And I'm like, do I need anything? I need y'all to leave. What are state your business here? Y'all haven't put no order. You try to break in my home. I said, what's going on? Then I remember at the time, the property manager as I was literally telling my wife to call her, she comes to the door and said, Ralph, Chinyeri, can you please just open the door? They just want to talk to you, in this devilish voice. I'm sitting there like, no, it's nothing to talk about. I said, Lillian, you gave these people a key to my home? And she said, well, and then she got silent. I said, wow, really? Wow. At that point, I was left with really nowhere to go. So we were standing in a hostage situation created by the Department of Familia and the Puerto Rican government. And in the midst of this, you know, you're trying to stay as calm as possible because you still have your 3-month-old baby right there. So while I'm sitting there, I'm trying to talk to him and calm his spirit as well. But I look out and I see the whole entire block is shut down. Entire block. Yeah, entire block. Yeah, and so then I look outside and it's literally like they're ushering in this big SWAT team, like they're flying an airplane, a landing airplane. And as I see the SWAT truck come out and they got ambulances down there, I'm really, at this point, I'm like, what is about to take place? So then the inevitable just started to happen, unfolding of, you know, when evil has taken so much work to try to conquer our natural divine creation and union, then I see the hostage person start talking to me more. But as I'm listening to them and recording them still, I'm just preparing my family for my possible death in front of them. Because it's an army of men coming up the stairs with big, tall, long guns for allegations about my son being 1 pound underweight. So then I see black tape come over the door. And at that point then I knew, I said, all right, they're about to kick in this door here. I can't hold them no longer. So my wife just made a pact with me. She said, we made a pact to each other. We're not going to do nothing to these people. We already have it all on video. We have done nothing to nobody. And we're great parents, so nothing's wrong with our child. So let's just let them do whatever they're going to do. And from that point, they bust in like some, I don't know, like you see them, like Tom Clancy missions or one of them, like they're coming in for Bin Laden. I want Rastaman and his youth and his wife. Whole bunch of vegetables and fruit in the house. Not even one jar of weed in there. Not one spliff they could even find in my house. No alcohol, no other forms of drugs and narcotics. So they come in there, and first thing they tell them, my wife is pleading with them, please, why? They jumping on my back. It's 3 of them on my back. One is got his gun to my head, and they telling me, shut up, nigga, shut up. And they tell my wife pleading as they trying to take me out. I wouldn't go because I said, no, you don't have no one female officer in here. Bringing a female officer, I'm not going nowhere. Because I'm not leaving y'all here with my wife. No. And she just come out the shower, so she had on the towel. Yeah. And they said, we'll give you something back if you drop your towel. We won't take y'all if you drop your towel. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. So then they taking me downstairs. They trying to rough me up. They throwing me on the cars and trying to scrape me up good. And they took me in on no charges. Just like they took that period of 3-hour time from they first broke in my home with the San Juan Police Department before they had to arrange the SWAT team to come out for no inherent danger. They had made a false, I'm not going to say a false, because they made a quick, in their court system, called somebody to make a a quickly made order because they didn't come with the order the first time. See, they just broke in. So then they kept trying to get me to sign the order when I was in the jail. It's all in Spanish. And I'm like, no, they threatened me with a taser to my head. Sign it. They talking to me all crazy. Sign it. I'm not signing anything. I can't even understand it, sir. What do you mean? Where's my son? Where's my wife? Yeah, no answer. So they stayed in there trying to get me to sign it for a couple of hours till my wife finally came in there. And my wife was raising hell at him, you know. And she was like, man, get him out of these damn cuffs. Why y'all even got him in the cuffs, you know? And I'm in there, it's like, you know. Well, I have to sit because I know I ain't do nothing but until then. But she got us out of there. By the time we got out of there, I looked over the paperwork too before I left. Under the evidence, nothing was listed. They didn't have one piece of evidence they listed on there. They didn't even have my son's name spelled right on there. They put baby boy Osuji. They didn't even bother to put his full name on there. You just taking up a random baby boy Osuji. You didn't take up Messiah Osuji Bay. They just made it up. No evidence, no nothing. You see? But from that time we step out, you know, fine, we search everywhere. We search every hospital from there. And they took me out of my house barefoot. So we just went back home. We walked back home because we couldn't get, by the time they let me out of jail, so it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. So, and that happened on a Thursday. Remember the dates here because I'm about to tie something crucial in right now. It happened March 11th, 2020. That was a Thursday evening. Let me out late that Friday, so you could have just scratched Friday because you got to just calm down and find out what your plans of motion is before you even, because this is, you know. After finding notifying my family what happened, you know, I reached out to my sister, my father, all of the people I knew, you know what I mean, everybody in my family, and they were speechless. They like, well, let me just, I don't know what to do right now. Just call, keep me on call. I said, let me go ahead and just try to arrange a meeting with one of the civil rights attorneys for Monday, because I know I can't reach nobody for Friday. Cool. I scheduled an appointment with ACLU. ACLU is a big firm. That's a big civil rights firm in America, and they're down there as well. So we had an appointment there for Monday. And when we went to the ACLU office down there in Puerto Rico, in Hato Rey, Puerto Rico, we were met by disappointment because no one was there. And as we were trying to contact them by phone and email, we just started going around the building to see other law firms because there was another civil rights law firm in the building at that time. Nobody was in the office. Everybody was gone except one firm. And we went and we talked to them. We got some information. Like, well, what's going on? It was very important that we had a meeting today, but it seems like a lot of attorneys are out of the office today. So from the woman, you know, it's always kind of a bridging area sometime with English and Spanish down there, and it's fine. But she did her best, and she said, "All right, let me try to help you." And she come back and she told us her higher up that she kind of had to drag out the back of the office. But she come up and she said, "Well, you know what? There's just a lot." She was very hesitant about giving the information up, but she came out and she said, "Cause we're like, well, where is everybody? Is it a holiday today or something?" She said, "No, actually, all the attorneys in Puerto Rico are in a private meeting with the governor today." All right. So I said, okay, that's Monday. The next day, Tuesday, is when the pandemic hit. With all this corona going on in the world, when the whole world shut down that following Tuesday. So the next day, world shut down, everybody's got to wear a mask, everybody's in frenzy. All right. From that day, it took us about a month and a half, 2 months to even hear from an attorney to get back with us. In that time, we were supposed to have a 72-hour hearing. We never got this hearing. From there, emotions is strong, man, I tell you. But, yeah, from there, we didn't know where our son was for about a month and a half, 2 months. The whole pandemic shut down, the world shut down. That just happened to us. We have no idea where his whereabouts. The social worker is supposed to reach out to us from the Department of Families, give us some information. Never did. We called countless times, try to get more information, family member. Because as we know, every hospital is they're under their own confidentiality clauses and stuff too. So they were making it hell for us to try to get any information about our own son. Even with the pre-birth certificate they give you down there, because they give you something down there called a birth nacimiento. I'm probably not doing a good job, but it's in the States, when you have a baby at a hospital, they issue your birth certificate right there. In Puerto Rico, is there a little, I wouldn't say behind, but kind of older way tradition where they print you out one at the hospital, but then you have to go and register that one for the actual birth certificate. So, and that's another place I need to kind of chime in on. So I'll get to it though, but we didn't hear anything from a social worker for about a month and a half. We finally got some attorneys to help us, as we believed. During that part of the court process, the state court process, we come to find out the original allegations never even came from the WIC woman. It was from a social worker who never even seen our son. So then they mentioned certain aspects during the beginning of the state procedures. They were saying reasons why, because our attorneys were asking them valid questions, and they couldn't get valid answers. They just kept like making up things and trying to criminalize me for being vegetarian, for being a chef, for being a strong black man and loving his family. Anyway, they tell me that we didn't have a birth certificate for him, and that we didn't try to register for a birth certificate for him. I'll tell you a brief background about that. They have where when you go to register this piece of paper at a government office in Puerto Rico, they take 15 babies at a time. All right, we went there and we were chosen. It took us about 3 times, because if they only take 15 babies, chances you might not get it that day. We went there the 3rd time. We paid for the actual birth certificate to get registered. When it was our turn to go and get it registered, the man, it was the actual like head man over that department in the Manilius building in San Juan, Puerto Rico. This is a government building there, a big one. He says he's not gonna register our birth certificate because we got a small crease at the bottom of the paper. We got a small crease. Not no coffee stain, not no, it's not crumbled up. You got a small crease. It's folded because it's a legal sheet of paper. Nobody told us this, though, that we couldn't fold it. It's just, but something he could have easily got past because it wasn't like it was damaged. So, all the while, we already paid for the thing. So I'm like, well, sir, you got to at least give me a refund or something. And they're like, well, no, you already paid for it. I'm like, wow, the government offices really work like this? So I'm like, but wow, man, this really came out like they really, and then turned around and came out in court. I just see how all of the offices started conjoining to, do certain things against us. Well, during a point of the family process where we have been looked up and it's now, the months that ran on in now, and I haven't seen my son, and yet I'm doing everything that they're asking us. And then, it hit the news. We told some people down there, look, it was a friend of ours that we met briefly when we stopped in this little town called Rincon. She was a sweet woman, and her family was real sweet to us. And, you know, we just reached out to let her know what's going on because she asked about a baby, and, you know, and all the while let her know she couldn't believe it. So she just reached out to people. She's well connected there, and she's connected in the doula and midwife, community there as well. So she said, I'll get back to you. She did an amazing effort. She was able to get the community to come in together and support the thing, and a lot of different news stations did come out to the original court date because they kept postponing the court date saying it's due to COVID. So when we finally got actual physical court date to come to, she had all of the news stations come out, like the Telemundo links I sent y'all and everything like that.
We have to have our son home now.
Shinier Bey solo quiere que el Estado le devuelva a su bebé recién nacido. Fue removido en medio de un confuso proceso hace 4 meses. Junto a su esposo Rafael, la mujer natural de Nueva York ha tenido que asistir a 6 vistas en el Tribunal de San Juan para la ratificación de la remoción de custodia del bebé que tiene ya 7 meses.
It's been 4 months now. It's a newborn. So.
They stormed our home with about 17 to 20 SWAT. They held us hostage in our home from 4 p.m. to 12.
She was the main cause of this. When they got out there and they got out there to the public and all of their media waves, we started getting visitation again. Then they started letting us see our son, to try not look so, yeah. So while we was getting visitation, something in me said they're going to try to cut off the visitation. They did. They cut off the visitation. It didn't last very long. It was very brief, and they just waited till the people died down like a lot of things, and we didn't see them for another 4 months. And as I remember, it made it all the way to the summer. Here it is, my birthday was approaching in August, and I was just thinking, man, this is crazy, man. My son is, last time I seen him, he had teeth. I don't remember it, he had teeth. And so I was sitting there and I'm like, all right, make me. I'll give you a little brief background about my brothers and sisters in Puerto Rico. They're very cultured. There's a lot of, culture there. And African people made their way to that island as well. And with them, they brought part of the Orisha systems. And so they still practice Santeria and other forms of spirituality and divinity. Puerto Rico is still set up, sadly, where largely the black community is segregated to that part of the island there. Still like this. Anyway, he tells me, you need to go to Louisa, I have a woman you need to meet and speak to. So I said, all right. So I go, and I sit down by the water. And I sit down by the water there at the beach for about a couple hours until a woman did walk up to me. And she said, I seen y'all on the news, and all, and I'm like, no, not yet, but, and she just, people heart cringe and stuff like that. So I don't like the feeling, so I don't want them, and I know what they're feeling, so I'm just like, yeah, but I'm here still. Give the grace of God. breathing, man. So the woman said, what you doing here? I thought that happened in San Juan. And I said, yes, ma'am, it did. I said, but I just come over here to kind of clear my mind. And she said, all right. You want to, she said, you.
Okay, now that thing want to act right.
And pop up when that happened, or the night when they was dragging me out my house, and he was on the golf cart laughing with the property manager. And it just came in my mind. I was like, huh. And so when I asked her, she kind of, it catch her, you know? Excuse me. So, sorry. So it catch her. It's still all right? All right. Yes, sir. So she said, it catch her. And our student was looking like, Atukakla. Yes. So the the student was like,
Darn it.
in the federal court in Puerto Rico, because we were getting nowhere and we exhausted all our legal remedies and trying to, play this game of compliance with them. So from that took place and manifested. Now, over a year from putting in the habeas corpus in the federal court, which is used to get inmates out of prison, but it typically can be used in certain cases like this, depending. We had to ask for a permanent injunction and show why that the judge from a federal court needs to intervene in this whole process. And so with that, we proved the fact that the judge in the state court, which I've reached out to, a lot of people ask me, well, who you reached out to? Man, they'd be surprised. When I tell you I've reached out to Supreme Court Justice Sonia Mainamine, excuse me if I mess up your name, man. All due respect, I've reached out to her office. I've reached out to some delegates' office. I've reached out to senators. I've reached out to a whole lot of people. Everybody you can message that's got a little blue check sign on Instagram and all of everybody. I reached out for everybody. Because after that brief showing in Telemundo, it never hit the States. So it kind of died down, you see? And they kind of swept it under the rug like that because they got control over the media. Tell you one more situation about when you know it's conspiracy clear. We had our same friend, Laura Lena, after a time, she's like, well, did y'all get the baby back yet? They're like, no, we haven't got the baby back. And she said, I'm going to try to see if I can get y'all another interview. She called the main station down there, WAPA 2. And WAPA called us one Saturday and said, are y'all available, or Friday evening, said, y'all available for something tomorrow? We want to do a story on y'all to give you an update, and y'all can come out, please, And I said, all right. So we go out there, we did a real nice interview story, just like we're doing now. And 5 o'clock, we were supposed to air it. 5 o'clock, 4:30 come around, they called us back, said, I apologize, we're not going to be able to air the footage. I asked them, well, why? They said, well, it wasn't up to me. It was just the higher ups in the office. They said the Department of Familiar didn't give a response back to what you all said. And I said, well, why didn't they just put it? They didn't have no response to what we said, just like in the paper. From the permanent injunction was filed, the judge granted it in part and denied it in part. So, meaningly, he said, okay, yes, you all's linguistics rights have been violated. This is a tragedy. They should have been much more active within the process. They were actually enabling y'all throughout the process for certain, ways they dealt with you. So I'm going to order them to put him in an English-speaking home or one of your family members. And also, I forget the last order. I apologize a lot right now. But he said, you have 21 days to do it. They didn't adhere to it. But this was the pattern from them. Because from we got in the federal court, they told us, hey, set it up to where they can see their son November 23rd on his birthday. He gave them that. He urged them to do it. They never did. So this is their pattern, you know. And all the while they'll say we're not compliant, but the federal court docket reads that I have parenting courses not only from Stanford and Yale University, which are Ivy League schools, you know, because they so surface. See, it go back to the you know, trying to grab something that's not there. So I put parenting course from Stanford and Yale for child rearing and child nutrition, as well as a course in Florida. I asked them could they approve it. They didn't want to approve none of it. They wouldn't accept none of it. But all the while, they wouldn't give me a case plan to complete this process. You see how they hook it in? They hook you in and then they don't want to let you go. So as the last thing we were told is that Department Familiar, for not answering to these Judge Arias, is his name, order that he found him in contempt of court, which means that some people are most likely going to be held liable in the long run. But you know, a lawsuit, these things that take time. Yeah, it take time. But all of these things still can't stop the time. So let me make it clear. We did complete 2 courses that they recommended for psychological examination. One with a group called LM Mental Health, which you could barely find any information on. They barely even had a Facebook page. Then one other physical one that was more reputable for dealing with things like this in San Juan. Both turned out that I'm not crazy. I'm very much competent in my mind, sound of mind, and a healthy, functioning man and woman to raise a child. But yet and still, even at this point, they're asking for additional courses. And see, this is how they set you up for failure. Before the judge found them in contempt of court, they come trying to make a deal with us, with their attorney saying, listen, if y'all don't find us in contempt of court, we'll just give you back Messiah indefinitely December 3rd. When my wife come tell me that, I say, I can't believe that. You done told me that too many times now. I don't like that deal. So then she said, let's just see what happens. I said, all right. I'm putting positivity out there for that outcome. December 6th comes around. My son's still not home. Yeah. So now, as it is, Messiah knows how to work an iPhone and iPad and all of that because that's what he's used to seeing his father on. You see how they're trying to get, huh? But he's so bright. We see him about 3 times a week now from a federal order that we have to see him more. So she's getting in-home visitation with him to rebuild their bond together. What's so crazy is my son, he still tries to breastfeed sometimes. Just to let you know the impact. It's irreparable damages has been caused. But what do you do when, what do you do when irreparable damages have been caused, which means irreparable? All right? Just think about that for a minute. You took time away that I could never get back from my son. I've never seen his first steps. Just come to a visit and he walking and talking. Know how to feed himself. All them nights I stayed up. What you gonna offer me? Huh? Really, what the hell could they offer me? What are they gonna offer me? Literally, what in hell, in their hell, on trying to disrupt my heavens? What are they gonna offer me? I'll tell you. Same thing everybody in trap through right now. Money. They're gonna give me money at the end of this. You think they're gonna send out their social workers to check on my better well-being in my family? You think they're gonna come out and give my wife a back massage, lower her tension in her shoulder? Huh? You think they're gonna rub the diaper rash off my son and give him special ointments and all that? They're gonna pay for that and do all that because they just from times they just let him piss and shit on himself and he can't get up and clothes and change himself? No. Well, you gonna give me? They're gonna offer me money for irreparable damages. The facility that he was in had a COVID-19 outbreak at the facility. That's the reason they moved him 2 hours away to the other side of the island where he's at right now. My son is somewhere living, my wife said, in the bush in Isabela, Puerto Rico, with a woman who already has 5 other foster children. Two willing and able, loving parents. You see? Yeah. And who knows what effect this, I won't know what has affected my son until later. That's the thing. I can't imagine what my wife has experienced. Collective, I'm asking all black women and all black men to help me and my family because it's needed. And the amount of money and time and energy that man put forward on the battlefield, yeah, I'm asking humbly, please help do what you can for our family. Well, let me hear you.